Welcome to this explainer. Okay, we're going to dive right into this today because we are looking at one of the absolutely most fascinating and frankly consequential shifts in American history. Between 1946 and 1947, the United States completely transformed its foreign policy. I mean, they went from a wartime alliance with the Soviet Union to a totally new strategy that would literally define the globe for nearly half a century. And to truly understand how this happened, we aren't just going to sit here and memorize dates and battles. Instead, we're going to treat this whole era like a giant geopolitical medical investigation. We'll examine the symptoms, uncover the underlying diagnosis, look at the prescribed treatment, and finally analyze the massive, unexpected side effects.
So, here's our agenda for the explainer. We're going to start with the post-war mystery, diagnose the Soviet mind, look at the containment prescription, see exactly how that cure was administered, and then finish up with its legacy. All right, part 1. The post-war mystery, the symptoms of a global crisis.
You know, the dust of World War II had barely even settled, but the Grand Alliance was already completely fracturing. Washington was, well, they were confused and deeply alarmed. They were frantically searching for some kind of framework to understand what was going wrong. Just look at this breathless pace of events. In barely over a year, from early 1946 to mid-1947, a rapid domino effect reshaped the entire world order. We go from George Kennan's long telegram in February 46, right through Churchill's famous Iron Curtain speech, then escalating conflicts in Greece, and culminating in the Truman Doctrine and Marshall Plan in 47. It was just a whirlwind for international diplomacy. Think of these escalating conflicts as the actual symptoms giving Washington massive panic attacks at the time. First, the Soviets were dragging their feet on leaving Iran. Then, they were putting really heavy pressure on Turkey for control over the Dardanelles Straits. Meanwhile, a full-blown communist insurgency was raging in Greece. And then, the ultimate shock hit in February 1947. A completely financially exhausted Great Britain announced they simply could no longer afford to support Greece and Turkey. All of a sudden, boom, there's this massive power vacuum, and the U.S. felt immense pressure to step in and stop the bleeding. Moving to Section 2, Diagnosing the Soviet Mind. The lab results from George Kennan. Because, let's face it, you can't treat an illness if you don't know what's actually causing it, right? Washington desperately needed a doctor. And they found one in a brilliant American diplomat stationed in Moscow named George F. Kennan, who basically got tasked with psychoanalyzing the Kremlin. In February 1946, he sent an 8,000-word dispatch back to Washington. Now, that was literally the longest telegram the State Department had ever received up to that point. In it, Kennan argued there was a massive disconnect between what the Soviets said and what they actually felt. Their stated justification was Marxist ideology, the idea that the capitalist world was entirely out to get them. But Kennan diagnosed their actual internal reality as traditional, deep-seated Russian insecurity. Because of their history, they had this intense psychological need for an external enemy, just to justify their harsh, dictatorial rule back home. Basically, Soviet hostility wasn't based on objective reality, it was based on total paranoia. Kennan actually had this brilliant way of putting it, writing that Marxist dogma is the fig leaf of their moral and intellectual respectability. In other words, the ideology, it was just a convenient cover story. It gave Soviet leaders a way to hide their instinctive fear of the outside world behind this veil of supposedly scientific Marxist-Leninist teachings. And he extended this medical metaphor even further. He wrote, "World communism is like malignant parasite which feeds only on diseased tissue." Now, Kennan wasn't just diagnosing the Soviets here. He was actually diagnosing the West. He was warning Washington that communism thrives wherever there's poverty, disunity, and despair. So his logic was to defeat Soviet influence, the United States first had to cure its own societal issues and offer a genuinely healthy, positive vision to the rest of the world. Which brings us to Section 3, the Containment Prescription, a new geopolitical treatment plan. So Kennan's private lab results were pretty quickly transformed into a very public global treatment plan. In July 1947, the prestigious journal Foreign Affairs published an article titled "The Sources of Soviet Conduct." It laid out a grand strategy for the United States. But get this, the author was simply listed as the letter X, pure cloak and dagger drama. It was actually Kennan, a sitting U.S. diplomat, anonymously publishing his findings. And let me tell you, it caused an absolute sensation. In that specific article, Kennan publicly prescribed his cure, which came to be known as containment. It's defined as the strategy of resisting Soviet expansion without direct war, through a long-term,
patient but firm and vigilant counterforce. This right here is the anchor. This one concept becomes the guiding light of American foreign policy for the next 40 years. The goal wasn't to invade the Soviet Union. It wasn't to overthrow it aggressively. The goal was to simply box it in, to contain it, and then just wait for the system's own internal flaws to cause its eventual collapse. Now, you might be wondering, why did he think this would actually work? Well, as he wrote in that X article, the Soviet machine moves like a persistent toy automobile, wound up and headed in a given direction, stopping only when it meets with some unanswerable force. They aren't suicidal, Kennan argued. They're actually very cautious. If you build a solid wall, the toy car bumps into it, stops, and just looks for another way around. Applying constant, absolutely unyielding pressure was the only way to counter them. Section 4. The Truman Doctrine. Administering the cure. So, diagnosing a disease and writing a prescription is one thing, right? Actually paying for the cure is a whole different ballgame. And that monumental task fell to President Harry S. Truman. On March 12, 1947, Truman stood right before Congress to ask for aid. He used this incredibly sweeping language, stating, "It must be the policy of the United States to support free peoples who are resisting attempted subjugation by armed minorities or by outside pressures." Notice exactly what Truman did there. He took a very specific, regional crisis in the Mediterranean and completely elevated it into a universal, global commitment. It was framed as a stark choice between alternative ways of life, the free world versus totalitarianism. And man, he put a massive price tag on it. $400 million. That was the staggering amount he requested from Congress just to stabilize Greece and Turkey. This right here is the exact moment when the intellectual theory of containment suddenly translated into massive, real-world financial and political action. Just a few months later, the U.S. rolled out the Marshall Plan. If the Truman Doctrine was the political declaration of containment, the Marshall Plan was definitely the economic engine. Remember Kennan's parasite metaphor from earlier? Well, the Marshall Plan was designed to heal the diseased tissue of war-torn Europe by injecting massive economic aid. It recognized that you simply can't have political stability without economic prosperity. Finally, Section 5, Legacy and Overreach, the side effects of containment. In geopolitics, just like in medicine, powerful treatments almost always come with unexpected side effects. And we see a really massive tension here. George Kennan's original intent was a measured, primarily political and economic strategy. But Truman's execution? That became an open-ended, highly militarized global commitment. And Kennan himself actually lamented this. He was horrified that his nuanced analysis was being used to justify a massive global arms race and indiscriminate military interventions. The theory had essentially escaped the doctor's control. The sheer scale of the global consequences here is just staggering. The Truman Doctrine and containment permanently ended American peacetime isolationism. It fundamentally rewired the entire U.S. government, leading to the creation of the CIA, the National Security Council, and the Department of Defense, all in 1947. It led directly to the creation of the NATO military alliance. And crucially, it provided the ideological justification for decades of foreign intervention, stretching all the way from the mountains of Korea to the jungles of Vietnam. So what does this all mean for us today? What should you really take away from this? Well, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Did the Truman Doctrine overreach? Did it take Kennan's brilliant, measured response to a very real problem and distort it into an endless militarized crusade? It's a huge debate that historians are literally still fighting over today, and understanding it is absolutely crucial to making sense of our modern world. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and hey, keep asking the big questions.